problem with renewal.
So the ABC licensing committee took that into consideration and recommended that the full commission support the application for renewal. Michelle, did you want to make a motion?
I move that ANC 6E approve the renewal for the ABC license for Homewood Suites.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One abstention, 4, 0, 1.
Next is Bar 7, located at 1015 and a half 7th Street Northwest. This is a renewal for their Class C Tavern license. This is again in ANC 6C04. Having heard no concerns from Michelle Nigro, the commissioner there, the ABC Licensing Committee recommended that the commission support this renewal. And Michelle, did you want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that ANC 6E supports the renewal for the liquor license for Bar 7.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
4, 0, 1. Frank's abstaining.
So next is Dulce Gelati Cafe at 1420 8th Street Northwest. This is in my single-man district 6E01. There have been no concerns expressed about this applicant. This is a Class D tavern license, and I will make a motion that ANC 6E support the renewal of the Dulce Gelati ABC application. And then we communicate that to the ABC board.
I'll second it. Everyone vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Are you abstaining? Okay, 4, 0, 1.
Next is La Jambe, that is located at 1550 7th Street Northwest, again in ANC 6E01. There have been no concerns raised by this applicant, and I move that ANC 6E support the renewal of Dulce Gelati, La Jambe's application, and that we communicate that to the ABC board.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
4, 0, 1. I think he does that just so we have it.
Next, we have The Passenger at 1539 7th Street Northwest. This is a Class C Tavern license in 6E02. Kevin, did you have any comments?
No complaints regarding their business.
Did you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'm move that ANC 6E support the liquor license renewal for Passenger 7, and we communicate our support to ABRA.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
0, 1.
Next is Philos Meze and Wine Bar at 401 Massachusetts Avenue Northwest. This is a Class C Tavern license located in ANC 6E05. It's the largest single-member district. Any comments?
Sir, can you give me the name of that one?
It's Philos, P-H-I-L-O-S, first word. Second word, Meze, M-E-Z-Z-E, ampersand, wine bar.
No, I have no objection. There's been no issues with them, so I make a motion that we support the renewal application and convey that to ABRA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Same vote.
And we have the Hampton Inn at the DC Convention Center at 901 6th Street Northwest. This is a Class C Tavern license, and this is again in ANC 6E05.
I have no objection. We have no objection in E05 for the renewal of this license, and we should convey that to ABRA.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Same vote. don't think we're ever gonna get to your party? We got a list and a half here
Well,
tonight.
we have, next we have Rito Loco, and we do have representatives present, and they do have a proposed change to their renewal application, so if you gentlemen would be so kind as to come forward.
Good evening. How y'all doing today? Yeah, currently we'd like to withdraw our current liquor license, which is for our downstairs, which is currently operational, and also for a rooftop addition deck bar that we have had maybe by March. Been speaking with Alex, he said the best thing to do is to withdraw it now and just apply for liquor license for the downstairs location, so we can start generating some revenue there through alcohol sales as quickly as possible. So we'd like to move forward with that. Obtain a stipulated license, try to get the ball rolling. In addition to that, you guys can approve that. We'd also like a letter of support from the ANC board for our expansion. We do have to go into a BZA hearing on December 14th for a modification of use to actually be able to build a roof deck bar. The funding came through the Great Streets Grant Program for us for $85,000. So we will begin the first phase of construction in the next 2 weeks. Will just be specifically the deck and the rear stairwell. That will not be for public space. Once we go to the December 14th meeting, provided we have your support and they see things the way we see them, they will give us a full approval, and we will finish the construction in a second phase, building the actual cabinet that houses the bar, the bathrooms, and the storage area.
So just to clarify, you're not withdrawing your entire ABRA application, you're just withdrawing
For the summer garden.
The summer garden
Right.
on the rooftop component.
Yes, that's correct.
Just make sure everybody's clear on that. And you're asking for a stipulated license which would allow you to begin serving alcohol as soon as the ABC board can process that, but in advance of your full hearing, which will be in December.
That is right.
This is in single member district 6E02, so I'll ask Kevin to make a motion on that, but I will report that the ABC licensing committee did hear the presentation by the owners of Rito Loco and their council, and recommended that the full commission support the amended application.
So, but they also want a letter of support for their expansion?
So-
Is that discussed also?
Can we do two separate
Yeah.
motions?
So when we take up the ABC license first and then address some other questions.
I move the ANC6E support the stipulated license for Rito Loco and report our support to ABRA.
Second.
All in favor?
Hang on a minute, one friendly amendment, and that's contingent on Rito Loco's withdrawing the portion of their application related to the rooftop theme.
I'll accept that.
And I did speak with Andrew Stein today. That's exactly what he said. We're on the same page.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Quorum, 401. Okay.
In case I'm not, Kevin, did you want to bring up?
Yeah, was the expansion necessary?
No,
No.
the committee.
They withdrew the application for this meeting, for expansion so far, right?
But none of those, zoning
Not for the
portion.
license, just for the zoning portion.
No, they just withdrew the ABC portion.
Oh, I'm sorry. So. what did
So,
you
do
say?
do you have any concerns?
No, I don't have any concerns. I mean, this is going to be completely enclosed, or this is for a summer garden?
It will be for a rooftop. There will be 3 sides of board-on-board 8-foot tall fencing that we will be using. We plan to use spray foam insulation or a thick block insulation throughout behind the fencing, and we also plan to use a large amount of fake ivy and bamboo trees, etc., to soften up all the wood and so forth. It's going to be I think it'll be a really kind of an oasis that you don't see. It's going to be something you haven't seen here.
So you go before the zoning board in December?
December 14th.
So you have an application before them?
Yes. And the attorney that's helping me, Emily Morris, who used to work for DemVed, she asked for me to ask you all for letters to be able to take that.
It would be helpful if we actually saw the plans. What you said sounds good, but what you actually put before the board is the application or the plan.
Sure.
We would like to approve those plans, but we have to see them.
Okay.
Not just,
no problem.
yes, but there'll be time after the December meeting if you want to come back in December, because that will happen before 2 weeks from. Yeah, you said on December 14th?
That's right.
Yeah, so we would have met by then, we could give you letter of support for
Okay.
that.
No
We
problem.
would just like to see the plan.
Should I email them to you
Yeah, you
prior
can.
to that?
Yeah, email it to me and I'll make sure everyone gets it.
Yeah, fair enough. Is it just the set of plans, or would you like to see I've got like a PowerPoint presentation that shows like the type of food, the kind of atmosphere that we're.
Well, I mean,
The more stuff, the better, right?
Yeah, the more stuff, the better.
Perfect. No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Val.
Thank you, guys.
That's that good.
Okay, is there someone here for the family leave? Okay, come on up there.
Thank you. Brought a couple handouts.
I think we have it attached, or did you text?
Yeah, just making sure, but just in case. Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Joanna Blotner. I'm the campaign manager with the DCP Family Leave Coalition. We have been talking to AMCs all around the district about support for paid family and medical leave for DC. To date, 12 AMCs have taken a position on this issue. As you may know, the council is getting ready to vote on a final paid family medical leave proposal, and what we're here to do is to ask for your support of a resolution on this matter. A quick refresher, this would be for paid family medical leave insurance. It would be a social insurance pool, similar to the way that unemployment insurance operates, or think about Social Security or Medicare, those kinds of programs where folks would pay into a centralized fund when someone needs to take leave. Their paycheck is then recovered by that centralized fund. The employer doesn't have to pay a single thing when someone is out on leave. And the reason we think this is the best approach is because it actually makes it the least burdensome approach for employers to manage, to navigate, that they would contribute into the fund in a predictable, scheduled way. Again, just like the way unemployment insurance works. And then they have no financial obligation when someone is out on leave for a new child, for their own personal health issue, or to care for a loved one who's ill. The bill is designed to make sure that low-income residents and workers are receiving the highest portion of their paycheck back, because we know that for many low-income families, trying to live on anything less than minimum wage is just not doable. And so the bill is designed to make sure that our lowest income workers really are protected. I will stop there and answer questions.
So, for an employer will have to pay per employee a certain amount, I guess, based on their salary?
Correct.
So it would be more, this will make it more expensive for employers to add more employees.
It depends. If we're talking about minimum wage workers, yes, it would be, because you cannot pass the cost off to them in their salary. For anyone who's making anything above minimum wage, every economist who's testified on this, whether against or for the bill, agrees the cost will in reality be passed along to those folks who are working. So instead of getting a salary of, your annual salary is $40,000, instead it'll be $400 less, so you'll make $39,600, and that $400 will be contributed into what the employer would pay into the fund. So your benefits package and your salary, your fringe benefits go up, but that means that your salary goes down a tiny bit for a new job.
Yeah, how long would this leave last?
So that is the big question right now. The bill was introduced with 16 weeks of leave. That's the same as what DC is currently obligated to provide for job protected leave in DC. It was then revised in February to 12 weeks, and the chairman is working on final revisions right now to see what that length of leave, the benefit will be. We are advocating for the length of leave to be between 12 and 16 weeks, potentially phased in over time, so that we're testing the program, making sure that it's financially solvent. But the reason we think that that length is so important is because it is actually based in medical science and fact around what is necessary and needed for, particularly for new moms and for babies to get the best start in life. For infants, they can't go into child care before 3 months, as is the law. There's also customary.
They do it at 8 weeks, but go ahead.
So most of the child care centers don't actually accept them because they're not fully immunized, but you can find some that will take them earlier. And then for folks who are facing, very serious medical conditions, the unfortunate aggressive cancer situations, we do want to make sure that they are covered and able to fully heal and come back to work at 100%. The majority of leaves, other than, again, the very aggressive cancers and the new baby leaves are actually much shorter.
So is this just for mothers who give birth and people who have an illness like cancer?
It's for yourself if you get sick, any kind of long-term injury or illness, surgery. It covers you to care for a partner, a parent, a spouse, family caregiving situations. And then for parents to be with new children, whether that child is, a biological child, adopted, or foster. And it would be equal leave, ideally, for men and women. That is what we are advocating for.
So if two partners have a child, adopt a child, both of them can use the leave?
Correct.
What happens if this fund is prematurely depleted?
That is a great question. That's never come up in any other states that have this. Similarly, that's not how unemployment insurance works. We've never had a shortfall. That is one thing that the city government is looking at, and that's partly how they're making decisions about what the final bill will be. It would be up to the city government to ensure that there are funds and to certify every single year that there are enough funds to pay out benefits. And if there are not, that they have the flexibility to revise either the contribution rate that people are paying in or to revise the benefit rate to make sure that we're not overpaying out benefits that we can't afford.
So I've actually had two concerns expressed by business owners.
Sure.
The first is that there is no waiting period for the proposed leave. So for example, if I'm hired today, I could go in on my next day of work and say, okay, I need to go off on family medical.
Yes and no. So the way that the waiting period really works is it's actually related to the look-back period of your wages. So if, for example, you are newly out of college and you are taking your first job in DC, on your first day of work, you will have no look-back period or history of wages. So you could take leave, you will not have job protection with that leave, and you would go out, but you would have no pay because there's nothing in the fund history to say that you actually have any income with your employment. So that's not quite how it works. The look-back period would be the 4 highest of the previous 5 quarters that you worked. That's exactly the way that unemployment insurance works currently, and that's similarly, again, for unemployment insurance, if you have no look-back history, there's no wage that you're going to be paid out. A more analogous situation to look at is for someone who's been in the workforce for 5, 10, 15 years. Their company's been paying in for 5, 10, 15 years. They switch jobs, and God forbid they get hit by a bus, and that actually has happened to one of our activists. That new employer, the person that they're working for on day one, they don't owe them a dime. their money is coming from that fund that's been previously paid by their past employers. So their funds, their income will be recovered by that city fund. There is no obligation, again, for the employer to hold that job. Job protection doesn't kick in until you've been in a job for a year. And so, if you are the first day of your job, 6 months in, if your employer doesn't want to hold that job for you, they don't have to do that. There's no obligation, but that worker, their finances are secured. They can take the leave, they can have a financial income and a safety net to get them through, whatever the illness is or whatever the injury is if they do get hit by that bus, God forbid.
So if the employee is coming from another jurisdiction that does not have a comparable program, then what happens to it? There's just no coverage.
Again, similarly, they would have to have been working for at least a year to have, any real income
So
support.
there is at least a minimum requirement of 1 year of employment.
Right. I mean, there's
In
not
the city.
right. There's not a requirement, but there is no payout.
But in order to receive benefits,
Right,
you would have
right,
to
right.
have been employed in the District of Columbia, participating for
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
And
I know that's confusing.
everyone has to make every person working has to make a contribution into this?
So the way that it works is that the employers would contribute into the fund for their employees. Again, we expect that virtually every employer will pass this cost off to the employees. That's how just about every payroll tax works, is that it's part of your fringe benefit package. And so anyone who works in the district would then be covered. This is similar to how every single employment law works, that all workers in the district are covered by this program. The only people that we really can't cover, unfortunately, are federal workers in DC, because there's no ability to collect taxes from them. And that is federal law and part of our statehood issues.
So the other concern that I've heard from business owners is that this additional financial responsibility comes right after the implementation of a higher minimum wage, living wage. And the concern relates to whether or not they're going to be willing to hire at a certain level of staffing, based on this additional expenditure, additional liability. So do you have a response for that?
That is a great question. So both the minimum wage and paid leave, are phased-in programs. So the minimum wage will be phased in, 75 cents, $1 every year, up to a certain cap. I don't expect paid leave to go onto the market until 2018, 2019. Realistically, they still need to set up the program and to, fund the initial program. That will take a year or two to do. So this is not a program that's happening overnight. This is different than sick days, for example. Sick days did have, an immediate kind of reaction and come on the market. This would be a little bit slower. So it gives businesses, 2 years to prepare to make those adjustments, to understand their finances. When they're making decisions about who to hire, they can, again, preemptively adjust those salaries, knowing that they're going to start saving a little bit more money to put into this program. And again, it really is for minimum wage workers that are the only folks that the cost really would have been passed along to them, and it's for those folks who are most in need of these protections, who are most in need of this financial support, that we think it is important for the employers to do their part in making sure that they're providing quality jobs to our district workers.
Who manages this fund, and what percentage of the funds are allocated toward administrative costs versus payouts?
Great question. So in every other state that have these programs, there are 3 states that have this on the market. Every one of those states, it's a state administrative program, so they're all run through the Department of Labor equivalent. So California Employment Division Department, Connecticut Department of Labor. I would expect there to be something similar here in DC, whether that's through DOES or another government agency. There is the option to look into a private company to manage this, a third-party administrator, or look to the DC Health Exchange as a model for a public-private partnership. Those are decisions that Chairman is currently making and will be public in the next couple weeks. Every program that has been operated in every other state has an overhead administrative cost of 5% of the funds. All of their programs are self-funding. Ours would be as well. So whatever money is collected in taxes and revenue from this program would again be self-sustaining and self-financing, so this is not putting a new cost onto the DC government to take away from other services, for example. This would all be self-contained and self-funded.
How is this going to affect service workers, like people who make $2.75 an hour as waitresses and bus boys and whatever, they can't afford to have a penny
Right.
deducted from their salaries?
Right. So for these folks, the employer again would contribute in. They do fall into that category of folks who are making minimum wage. So we really do think that it is incumbent upon employers to help cover these funds so people are earning a quality wage. You know, for example, there's a coffee shop in Mount Pleasant that said, you know, if we did this program, it would cost us, you know, raising the price of coffee 1 cent per cup of coffee or per latte, whatever that they serve, to cover their employees. And I think we can all agree that paying additional 1 cent for our $5 coffees is not going to make or break the bank for those who have more disposable income that shop in these stores, and that would, you know, allow us to cover everyone in the district.
So currently, there's 3 states that have this program?
3 states. New York will be coming online in 2018.
So it's California, Connecticut, and
New Jersey, and New York will be the 4th.
Any of those states use those funds for stock market balancing things like that?
No, these are all programs that they can't, you know, they can't touch the funds. They are reserved exclusively for paying out benefits.
Any other questions?
I just feel tonight, I mean, I'm not against this necessarily, but I just don't have enough information to support it. So.
I'd be happy to follow up and provide you additional information.
I guess I also have, you know, more questions and concerns, and I'm not ready to support this tonight.
I think we all kind of feel the same way. I think we need a lot more information, so perhaps we need to table this until next month. Question from the audience?
Yes. Well, my question is that I'm wondering if somebody can explain to me why this is even an appropriate topic for the Advisory Neighborhood Commission. You know, the ANCs are set up to deal with neighborhood issues. As a taxpayer, I'm perturbed that we're spending ANC resources on a non-neighborhood issue. As a voter, I'm perturbed that people that we elected to deal with neighborhood issues are presuming to speak for us on non-neighborhood issues. I don't think we should even talk about this.
So the reason that
I mean, what do you, next month are we going to do assisted suicide?
So if the community were to ask us to express a position on that, yes, the Home Rule Act that established ANCs has a provision that says that ANCs are able to provide our advice to the district government on any aspect of the government's operations, any proposal, from the budget, down to street sweeping. So there is no area of district government that ANCs are not able to provide input. But as you can hear, in many cases, ANCs choose not to do that. So, but it would be an appropriate topic because it is legislation that is before the council.
We disagree. You and I don't just.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that we should support it. I'm saying that is what the law provides for. The law provides for ANCs to comment on any aspect of any legislation or services provided by the district.
Well,
I think
this
what
is
we've
the
all kind of-
ANC website. The ANC's main job is to be their neighborhood's official voice in advising the district government and federal agencies on things that affect their neighborhoods. Although they are not required to follow the ANC's advice, district agencies are required to give the ANC's recommendations great weight. Moreover, district law says that agencies cannot take action that will significantly affect a neighborhood unless they give the affected ANCs 30 days advance notice. This includes zoning, streets, recreation, education, social services, sanitation, planning, safety, budget, and health services. Now, yes, technically, there may not be any limit because I think it's understood that if you want to talk about citywide labor law issues, you should run against Charles Allen and not have run for ANC.
So, again, the statute, if you read the entire text of the statute, provides for ANCs to provide comment on any aspect of district government operations, legislation, and also federal issues. So if we had an issue that, you know, that we wanted to raise or to object to, that Congress was making, that we are entitled to express those opinions. Do we do that with any frequency? Certainly not. But it is possible for us to do that.
And I'm sorry, could you just state your name so that the note taker can?
First time I've married again, and then Scott Stone.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's pretty obvious from comments from everybody that we're not ready to make a decision, or even we need more time to talk about it amongst ourselves and then decide what we're going to do.
Would it be helpful to provide follow-up information, and if so, what kind of follow-up information could I provide to you all?
Well, first we need to get together and just have a discussion and whatever, but we will get back to you if we need more information.
Perfect.
Can I make a comment?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Or is the comment period over? Can I make a comment? Sure. So I'm actually a trained economist in this area, so I would offer my assistance if you want some discussion from an academic economist in finance and tax issues. I think that it's a complicated issue, but maybe you want some outside counsel as opposed to just the six of you. There isn't a lot of expertise.
Thank you. Can you make sure that the note taker has your name and contact information? I appreciate
To
that.
every meeting.
Pardon?
He comes to every meeting.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but I don't know.
This is tied, it's the council legislative issue. The council effective voted on it in a month.
The council will decide.
Right, so the council is the TC,
So this is,
it works with the TC, I believe.
this is about 2015.
Okay. So where do you see this in
There are 15 council members, Sheldon, staff is here tonight, 5 at-large council members. All of their emails are available on the council website, or council members, their Twitter handles.
I'm saying, when has the issue been
Okay, if you would like to take that offline and talk, I would suggest, ma'am, that you get in touch with Phil Mendelson and express your thoughts and feelings. I know all of us are thinking of doing that as well. So that would be my advice to you.
More appropriately to
I'm sorry?
more appropriately, council members